Captain Peter Kutsi, South Korea, and this is my briefing room. In the next series of videos, I'll be talking about checklists. I'm sharing with you on screen a PowerPoint that I've created, and we're going to go through each item in the PowerPoint: normal checklist operation, checklist content, checklist construction, non-normal checklist introduction, non-normal checklist operation, and then special situations. Sharing a screen with you, on the left side, we have the checklist instructions, which are situated in the aft part, or the very last part of Boeing's QRH. What I've done in the PowerPoint is to not change the information, but rather to amplify in color and make it easier to understand. We have all taken courses, or maybe you have yet to take a course with an airline. And when you do, it's important that you understand how to use checklists. You'll encounter them in everyday normal ops, and you'll encounter them, of course, in non-normal situations. So I've just brought that portion of the QRH to your attention because we'll see it again word for word. There are only roughly 10 to 11 pages in the back of the QRH, and probably they are the most important part of any course that you'll take with Boeing. Let's get started. We'll just go back to the main page of my PowerPoints, which I have several in my library. I have something up to 500 different files, video files, PowerPoints, and PDF files, GIF files. If you subscribe to me, you'll have privy to all this information, and it's for a lifetime and updated daily. The link here actually takes us to my website, which I'm sharing with you now. And you can have a look at that and contact me if you're interested in accessing my library. We'll go into the menu, normal checklist operation. Normal checklists are used during all respective procedural events. The table on the following page shows which pilot calls for the checklist and which pilot reads the checklist. We'll have a look at it again, but that's the page I'm referring to. Both pilots visually verify that each item is in the needed configuration, or that the step is done. That's both pilots. The far right column that we're going to look at shortly is the respond column, shows which pilot gives the response. This is different from the normal procedures where the far right column shows which pilot does the step. So here we are here, area of responsibility. And in the case of the before taxi, the captain and first officer are involved, of course. And before takeoff, we are referring to pilot flying and pilot monitoring. And both pilots have to verify that everything's done, but the response is the pilot flying. And the after takeoff check, a pilot monitoring gives the response. If the airplane configuration does not agree with the needed configuration, stop the checklist. Complete the respective procedural steps. Then continue the checklist. If it becomes apparent that a complete procedure was not done, stop the checklist. Complete the entire procedure, then do the checklist from the start. There are columns. We have 5 columns. The checklist that we're talking about on the left side, who calls for the checklist, who reads the checklist. Of course, both pilots are responsible to verify that it has been done. And the response is with respect to the area of responsibility for pre-flight, before start, and before taxi. And as far as the before takeoff and after takeoff, the response is pilot flying and pilot monitoring. The pilot monitoring reads the checklist. So this table outlines exactly what I showed you in the QRH. But what we're going to do throughout this PowerPoint is to amplify and make it easier for you to understand the importance of checklists. So moving on to normal checklist operation. Looking at an airline's normal procedure, and I've highlighted the procedures in different colors to make it easier to study. But you'll find that if you access my library, I've done all normal procedures in the format following the PowerPoint presentation you just saw, and you will see throughout this. It's not just studying for an initial course, but refreshing yourself as you go along. I've been involved in aviation since 1953, before airplane was created. Not really. That's a Canadian joke. In any case, I've been involved in aviation for well over 65 years and have been using checklists. Boeing do an excellent job of their checklists, I must say. And that's why I'm taking time to share with you what Boeing have dictated for those who fly their airplanes. And if you follow the checklists and follow what I'm going to show you in the series on all about checklists, it'll make your flying much easier and more pleasant, and most importantly, professional. Continuing on, try to do the checklists. We're talking about normal checklists now, before or after high workload times. For instance, after takeoff, you're going to be contacting the controlling agency, tower, or a departure controller. You don't want to be involved doing checklists at that time. You will have performed the after takeoff procedure, but you should not get involved doing checklists until you have time. The crew may need to stop a checklist for a short time to do other tasks. Now, once you decide to do the checklist and the person calls for the checklist, as we saw, whose responsibility that is, you may end up starting the checklist and then having to stop because of a frequency change or something else happening with respect to weather, etc. So you may need to stop a checklist to do other tasks. And if a pilot is not sure where the checklist was stopped, do the checklist from the start. And in most carriers today, you have operational performance tool in which is listed all the procedures and checklists, and normally in one color. So, and you have to follow your company SOPs and reading off of an iPad or tablet or whatever. In any case, if you're not sure, redo the checklist from the start. If the checklist is stopped for a long time, also, this is another situation where you're going to do a checklist from the start. After completion of each checklist, the pilot reading the checklist calls that particular checklist complete. For instance, after takeoff checklist complete. So that is with respect to normal checklist operation. Let's go to the next item, checklist content. The checklist has the minimum items to operate the airplane safely. Normal checklists have items that meet any of the following criteria. Items essential to the safety of the flight that are not monitored by an alerting system, or items essential to the safety of the flight that are monitored by an alerting system, but if not done, would likely result in a catastrophic event if the alerting system fails. We'll talk about examples as we go through the series of videos. Items needed to meet regulatory requirements, or items needed to meet fleet commonality between all of Boeing's fleet. Items that enhance the safety of the flight and are not monitored by an alerting system. For example, auto brakes. During shutdown and secure, items that could result in injury to personnel or damage to equipment if not done, such as pressurizing hydraulics, but not checking whether people are clear of the flap area. That's important. So that's what we are talking about here. Let's go to the next item, which is checklist construction. When a checklist challenge does not end with switch or lever, then the challenge refers to the system status. For example, landing gear down refers to the status of the landing gear, not just the position of the lever. So the lever is moved down. Yes, you're checking that, but you're checking 3 green lights. Ah, that's the status. When a checklist challenge ends with switch or lever, then the challenge refers to the position of the switch or lever. For example, engine start levers, cutoff refers to the position of the levers. Because normal checklists are done routinely, some checklist items are simplified to more conversational status, such as auto brake, RTO, instead of auto brake select switch RTO. All right, what we'll do here is we'll pause in the series. This will be the end of part one, and we'll see you with the continuation of all about checklists in part two. Thanks for watching.